there's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time.
You need to get you a really good slide player in Nashville, and you guys need to cover a Derek Trucks song.
You know, he told me Susan wrote the song, which he was proud of. He said that with great pride, you know, the way you say nice things about your family.
From the first note with Tedeschi Trucks, they just blow you away.
Yes, we will. I wouldn't argue with anyone that says that could be my favorite song on I Am the Moon.
He, signs my ticket, and I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah.
Kevin calls me and was like, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He was like, Derek wants to record some tuba stuff. I said, when do you want to do it? And he was like, let's do it Wednesday.
It was Midnight Harlem. And it caught our attention, man. And we started diving deep, and we're like, okay, we got to see these guys.
What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is Adam Choit. Welcome to episode number 145. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. And on YouTube, just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. If you're watching, you're already there. So please be sure to subscribe on YouTube, as well as whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. I'll be putting out an audio version of this episode as well. Soon enough after this recording ends. I'll get that up soon. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com has all the links related to this show, the social media ways to follow, AdamChoit.com for my personal stuff. I wanted to recap Baltimore because that was an awesome show, and the band doesn't go there that often from what I gather. So I'm super excited to talk about this one. Thank you, Alex Leary, for recording this one as well. Sounded great, and I think Rich Bernard also. I don't know if he recorded, but he did do a stream on MixLR, however it's pronounced, and said. But yeah, this sounds like it was an amazing time. I know the music was amazing, and I want to bring back in Dan and Ivan, returning contributors who were at the show. So let's get into it. There they are.
What's up?
We're back. I feel like it's hard to keep up with this band. Like now that they're back on the road, now I'm remembering. It's like, oh, I gotta, I mean, I want to, but it's like, I feel like I'm part of their schedule and part of like their ebb and flow, especially since I went to the Beacon shows and all these shows, or most of them, I think have been put out on archive. We got the Baltimore one, and now all three Warner are up on the archive.org with the beautiful, wonderful tapers who taped them for us. So like between listening and the recaps and being at the Beacon shows, I feel like I'm right there, kind of like in sync with the band and with you guys. But where are you guys right now? Ivan, where are you?
I am here in Baltimore.
That's your home. Your home.
That is my home. I actually have a Baltimore mailing address.
Right.
Cool. So it was nice to go 10 minutes from my house for a change.
I'm in Philadelphia.
How far is that a drive from Baltimore for you?
Took me getting home was like 2 hours. Getting there was more like 2.5, just because it was pouring rain. It was a little sketchy getting there, but glad I made the trip. Show was certainly worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely within range for TTB to do all in one night, one day, like within the under 3 hour. I did LA to San Diego, I think, on a school night before. Like, you make it work. Traffic,
it's a late night, but best band out there, definitely worth it.
And it's I don't always have to like party it up like till 5 a.m. at every single show and drink too much. Like I've been to enough TTP shows where there's some nights where I have some more to drink. There's other nights where I stop early and drive and Uber. I've kind of had the whole range of experiences from that. Like the band is amazing, no matter how many substances you have in you or don't have any substances in you. As we know, like there's the sober. was it the Made Up Minds, the Sober TTB group. Like,
Cool.
you know, there's room for you know, all kinds of folks, you know,
Yeah, it's
in
like,
this mob family.
It's a party, you know, so it's good to have a few and let loose. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I listen to this music constantly. It's, yeah, you definitely don't need to, you know, have any drinks to have a good time at a TTB show.
Yeah. The weather I heard was not great there.
Pouring rain before the show, but it cleared up. You know, drive home was good. Even at set break, I stepped outside for a second and it felt nice. You know, it cleared up quick.
Definitely was a nasty day over here.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm glad that the parking. I'm glad that the parking for the Hippodrome is pretty much attached, so you could just basically walk from your car right to the elevator and walk right in. You don't even have to walk into the neighborhood.
We'll get the
I parked in the garage.
Yeah, we'll dive into the set list because everyone kind of. I was getting some texts from Bob Ozzie, who was there as well, fan of the show and all that, fan of the band, of course. And he was telling me how he expected a rain-centric song, maybe Rainy Day, but it ended up being Last Night in the Rain to start the show. They've done that a few times. They started Rainy Day in Chicago, I think, on a rainy. It really they have a song for every mood. Sometimes, you know, the choices
I love that
are
song.
more over. Yeah, sometimes the choices are more overt or obvious than others, but like. Yeah,
I don't think they played that one that much either, right? Rainy Day, that's a great song.
Rainy Day has been a rarity. Yeah. That's definitely probably single digits times live, I feel like, you know.
I saw it at the Beacon in 2022 when they did Ascension in its entirety. I think that's the only time I've seen them play it.
I've been pretty blessed to get pretty much. I feel like there's nothing that maybe I'm just like, I just appreciate everything that this band plays, but I feel like I haven't missed anything. Like I've gotten like people are like, oh, I never get this. Oh, I'm chasing this. I'm like I think I've heard all, you know, not that I've been to 100 shows, but like a few dozen. You'll hear a lot of songs.
Hey, listen, I got Wawa. I mean, that's like that's a hugely deep cut right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I want to pull up some pics. That's yours.
Yeah.
I think from
I was fifth row. A great view.
No, that is solid. Here's the poster.
So just to explain that poster for a second, the sign that says Tedeschi Trucks Band is actually the real sign says Domino's Sugar. So that's actually a landmark around the Inner Harbor, which is the reason for and why that poster looks the way it does. So that's basically a picture of the building, except the Domino's Sugar words have been replaced. And there's a little nod to Edgar Allan Poe and the Raven, as you see the two ravens on the poster.
Yeah, this is super cool. I mean, I just kind of glance at them to be sometimes when they're just posted originally, but then when I'm on the show showing close-up images of them, like I really do appreciate these posters more and more. There's such a this really has a mood to it, this poster. Just the color of the sky, that blue. It's very atmospheric, and it kind of does, you know, probably fit with the whole weather and the vibe that day, like the whole
definitely,
you know, overall. Super. This is a beautiful one, and not over the top and fairly minimalistic, but really great. And I want to zoom in on the. I mean, look at the Ravens. There's pretty damn incredible. Okay, that's zoomed in too much, but
that Raven. I mean, just the level of artwork that all these artists do, regardless of what show it is. The level of detail that some of these posters for a ton of bands, you know, in the jam band kind of scene, really a lot of effort goes into these things. And like the folks that are making these are super talented.
Yeah. And they're all probably familiar with Tedeschi Trucks Band to varying degrees. Some maybe even not at all, and some are maybe hardcore fans. But I think through the music and through probably direct communication, either through the band's representatives or band members, like they're able to convey what they're all about, and that shines through for the most part in all of their posters. And the posters have a wide variety of kinds of artwork, but it all kind of really does say, oh, that's a Tedeschi Trucks Band poster, and a lot of the similar themes tend to repeat. This is it depends where they are. Obviously, they could be they could be nature, they could be urban, and that's really something about that speaks to the eclectic aspect of the band too, that they are sort of a they can rock Beacon in New York City, but Red Rocks in nature that really has a spiritual vibe, obviously, that I've talked about. I've been there, but I've talked about on this podcast with countless people that they speak to.
Yeah.
Super cool stuff. I wanted to show the pictures, so we'll get to that in a second. Here's the venue. This looks like probably a nicer day than what you guys had.
I was going to say that was not taken on Saturday.
No, this is from Wikipedia.
That's not taken on Saturday.
It looks. I know. When was this? Here's where I do my research all live. I wonder when this place was built, because it does have a historic, classic.
Probably within 10 years or so of the Met in Philly, the Beacon, and even the Warner, because they all have that early quarter or so of the early 20th century, like Art Deco style to it.
Yeah, old. It felt like an old theater for sure. Very and beautiful too. A lot of beautiful art inside, like above the stage and stuff.
Built in 1914 originally.
That's old.
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you what's interesting is I think one block down to the south of the Hippodrome is actually where Babe Ruth's family lived.
I was there. I visited there when I went on a Baltimore trip with my
or
family.
Where they worked or something. Yeah, it's a strip club or something now called. It's irrelevant what it's called.
That's not where I was. I was at his house, where he grew up.
Yeah, like you were the one right around the corner from the stadium.
The museum, yeah.
Yeah. So, but his family owned a building that's right down the street from the Hippodrome, and. Now, had it been a nice day, I would have suggested for those who are fans of Edgar Allan Poe or, want to appreciate that, one block the other way is actually where he's laid to rest. And there's a whole backstory about mysteries around his resting place that for years somebody would leave cognac on his either birthday or anniversary of his death for decades. And then all of a sudden it stopped.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to get all this information and backstory and context for the city and the poster and the ravens and the birds and all this stuff. It just, I don't know, it makes for a richer experience for me. Makes me, cures the FOMO and all that stuff. Because I was not in Baltimore. We know that. Let me just pull up that picture of the. Did I have one of the interior here? Well, we can get into the set list because it was pretty incredible. We got Last Night in the Rain, Signs, Done Somebody Wrong, Smoke Ring Halo, 44 Blues, La-Di-Da, Little by Little, Passaquan to close out set one. Then I Can't Make You Love Me, All the Love Anyhow, Keep on Smiling, Fallen, Come and Go Blues, Made Up Mind, Midnight in Harlem, and then looks like Any Day was scratched, and then they did I Want More into a Soul Sacrifice and a Sly medley. Again, just they keep putting in things that they just haven't played in a while or often, and that's just totally is just it's just impressive and amazing. Signs. Especially Signs, Smoke Ring Halo, 44 Blues, even La-Di-Da we haven't got too much of lately. All the Love they've only played a handful of times, maybe even less than Rainy Day, which we were talking about earlier. Just this was stellar, and bringing back Soul Sacrifice, as David Flam is mentioning, as I'm thinking of as well. The Soul Sacrifice was super cool. And not only do they bring back the Soul Sacrifice, just listening to it, it says just a little bit of a different vibe, how they get into the song and whatnot. It just keeps you guessing. I think as me and I think Dan, we were messaging about like how we were expecting Bex Bolero. I said I was expecting Bex Bolero, just but then the band just keeps on surprising.
It was a nice curveball for sure. I was just waiting for Bex Bolero to drop, and then it wasn't.
And and once they ease their way into a song, you're like, could it be? Is it? Are we just gonna get teased? Are they gonna tease this and do this?
That's what I thought too. I thought maybe they would tease Soul Sacrifice a little bit, and it would be Bex Bolero, but no.
Right.
So one thing I'll tell you is starting at the first Warner show until Passaquan in the end of the first set in Baltimore, they went 62 or 63 songs without repeating a single song until Passaquan, from the beginning of the Warner until the last song of the first set.
Yeah, it's impressive.
It's crazy.
It's like quite a number. So I can't imagine. I play guitar a little bit, just for fun, and it's like that's a lot. It's a lot of material.
It's more than I would expect them to do as far as just adding new music and adding just pure quantity to what they play just within legs of tours or just within the last month or so. Because we and you are always talking about we want to hear the thing that they haven't played in a while, but they're really bringing so many things into the fold, even more so than they've ever done. I can't recall them playing this much variety in a 7-show span. Like I can't recall anything like that.
And here's the funny thing. I went to 4 shows, and would you believe I still didn't get all the songs I was hoping to hear? I mean, of course not, right? Yeah. But I was kind of hoping for a Space Captain, but you guys stole that for me up in New York.
Right.
So, but I mean, I can't complain. I mean, what a phenomenal stretch of 4 shows, plus some extra stuff that went on over the weekend. It was fun.
We got Macon King here is looking for a helpless. Well, I think we'll probably get that at the next ad in Richmond. That just seems the way the band is doing. They're adding like the oldies back in the fold, the covers, new stuff, just so many surprises. Again, I want to. We have to talk more about All the Love. Like that's just a moment. I just love the whole psychedelic vibe of that, and just how it just turns into a nice cool psychedelic jam at towards the end of it.
So I ran into some people that I knew who had never seen Tedeschi Trucks before, but had heard good things about them, and one of them is a huge Fish fan. I was messaging with him the next day, yesterday. I said, "So what'd you think?" And he goes, "Oh my God, I knew they were talented, but I didn't realize they jammed as much as they did." He goes, "I want to go see him again." So,
yeah, everyone loves this band, no matter what your like primary musical tastes are. It seems to, or can at least appreciate Tedeschi Trucks Band. I keep talking about here and there how I think Larry Williams, like he brought like a heavy metal guy drummer to Tedeschi Trucks, and he's just like, "Oh, this band's awesome. I love the drums and all that." And then if you bring someone who's more into like maybe female vocalists, like you're getting plenty of that like at TTB, or if you're a guitar head, you're gonna love this band. Like there's a gateway for everyone to like get into this band.
12-piece, right? Got a lot going on.
Looking good in the home studio, says Randy. If you were I don't know if Randy ended up going to Baltimore, but if you did, hit me up. I could, shoot you the link to join this chat as well. I think he said he was on the fence about going or something. Everyone has such hard decisions, Should I get this show, that show, too many shows? Let me check with the wife about this. Let me check with my husband. Let me see if the kids are, let me check the bank account.
Too many shows.
What's that? No such thing as too many shows.
No such thing.
Although I mean, I did this one really last minute.
Although I will say my savings account took a little bit of a dent.
Yeah. Well, you're the one saying go if you can. Go, if you can go. Randy's packing for Richmond. I'll plug a future episode. I am going to do a recap. The plan is for this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, going to recap Richmond ×2 and the Durham show as well, and then worry about St. Augustine after that. And then you got Australia coming down the line. They speak English, right? No. Well, I understand them. And then they go in somewhere else, some place that I didn't even know the abbreviation. Is that like New Zealand or something? I don't know what it was, but it must be somewhere out in the Pacific somewhere, I'm guessing. I was looking at the tour schedule. I should pull that up. I'm almost curious. But what else jumps out to you guys about the set list? I'll give you guys the floor to
I really love
whatever.
I was really happy to hear Signs. That's one of those tunes that I really like hearing it live, and it's just one you just haven't, since all of the I Am the Moon material has been added to the set list. You just don't hear it as much. When I was seeing a lot of shows in 2022, like early 2022, before they released I Am the Moon, that was one that it was like most shows I went to, they played Signs. They often opened with it.
Signs is a good song. Speaking of like new fans or people getting into TTB, I feel like Signs is a good song to send to people. If they're like, oh, what's Tedeschi Trucks Band all about? You send them Signs. Like maybe it's because it's an upbeat song. It's got a groove and rocks, but more than those things, even I've talked about this before, but it features everybody. Like it really showcases, especially the vocalists, like everyone in the band, the way they trade verses and even lines or whatever. It's like it's such a cool introduction to the band, and an introduction to Signs, the album. I think that was the first song, first track on the album as well. Well, somewhat of a partial title track, but that makes sense. But showcases everyone, the horns.
So I'll tell you, Fall In, the jam and Fall In was phenomenal. You don't expect that song when you listen to it on the the studio cut to be a song that they're going to take off from.
Yeah,
do a long extended jam, and that was incredible. I thought how they weaved that in was a personal highlight for me. I loved the Fall In. Was great.
It was different the way Derek kind of did the solos from even some of the recent ones, and this past days, weeks, year or whatever. Like something like he had some more reverb on there, something more haunting about it. I'm sure the gearheads can speak to the technical aspects of what he was doing there, but definitely something a little bit maybe different in the way he. But it all sounds perfect. It sounds like, oh, that's the correct version. That's the right version. That makes perfect sense. The timing and the phrasing, it's all, impeccable, I think is the right word.
We were talking about it last time I was on the show a little bit about, like whether or not Tedeschi Trucks is a jam band. And, it's like one of those things that's cool about the jamming is that the songs kind of grow and change over time, right? It's like that Fall In definitely seems like it's, continuing, the band is continuing to develop it. It's continuing to, and I thought it was a highlight from the One Beacon show I went to, which was great, which is why, and I was really happy to hear them play it again, just at the show in the Hippodrome. And it's one of those ones that I'm a big Mike Madison fan, and the songwriting, the lyrics on that one, I think is some of the best stuff on I Am the Moon. And then now that it's also like, when they're playing it live, it's become much more instrumental, is just awesome.
It's pure fun. And I'll confess that, when some of these archive.org shows do drop and I see the set list and all the song tracks, I will sometimes go to Fall In as the very first song that I want to hear from a show when it drops. And just something about listening to the song and seeing the song performed live and listening to all these different versions. I don't think and the way it's structured, I don't think Derek wants to end the song. I feel like he wants, because it builds up and he's like, oh, keep going, builds up. It's just like it has to end at some point. But I don't think the audience, we really don't want it to end. Like he just keeps riding those waves and digging deep in for seconds and thirds, and we're all here for it for sure. Jeff Fink says hello. Yeah, if anyone's going to Richmond or Durham, hit me up if you're free Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's get you on the recap for that too. I can share the set list as well, but get it back up here to jog memories if you.
I'd never heard 44 Blues before.
That's a real rarity.
Yeah, and that was one that I liked it a lot. That was a fun one. They jammed that one out a lot too.
So when Derek had his the Derek Trucks Band, especially when they were, when I first saw them back in 99 and 2000, that was a staple of a Derek Trucks Band show. So they would play 44 quite often.
Cool.
So as soon as I heard it, I had not heard that live in quite a long time. I knew what it was. I was like, no way. So I was pretty happy to hear that.
I can't say that I've seen that live. I can't say 100% that I haven't heard it live, but I'm pretty sure I never heard got a 44 Blues with Tedeschi Trucks Band.
Smoke Ring Halo by the Wood Brothers was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was just a great it was a great set list. It was the whole 4 days that I was able to see him. It all felt complimentary to each other. It was just fantastic.
This was my third show in 2024. I went to the second night in Atlantic City. I went to the second night at the Beacon. I went to this one, and yeah, I mean, it's just, I feel like they've never been better. I've only been seeing them since 2018, but they're just phenomenal shows. Like I'm really happy I'm going to be going to Myanmar Beach for the little festival shindig. So
that's awesome. I'm gonna have to get you on to recap as much as you want.
Yeah, I think David Flam's going to be there. So
yeah, a bunch of people. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's super cool. Passaquan is also just stellar as always, and it's interesting how they kind of broke up or had to sometimes break up this Passaquan and the I Can't Make You Love Me, because for a while there, I think those were like closing out the set with getting Susan back up there to close out the first set. But I think it's maybe just more like just time. Just like you can only get so many songs into a set and so many. It works either way with having Passaquan close out the set or, getting Susan back up there for Susan, reminding you of the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Tedeschi. Yeah, good stuff all around. Come and Go Blues, another Gabe highlight, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The fans always get excited to hear Allman Brothers stuff. What else we got here? Just so many.
I thought there's really good contrast with All the Love and Anyhow back to back. Because all the Love is one of my favorite songs, but it has a very heavy feeling to it. Kind of for me, it's almost like a meditative experience. Seeing that performed live and makes my mind kind of go to. Like heavier subjects, and Anyhow is a little bit more like just about, like embracing the adventure of life to me. And I just thought that the live experience of seeing the two of them back to back, I think was really, really well done in the set list.
I felt that listening, 100% felt what you're describing, like listening, just the heavy psychedelic, deep contemplative aspect of All the Love, and then hearing Anyhow, more of like a mid-tempo.
Yeah,
typical is not the right word. That's not complimentary enough, but it is kind of a quintessential, very Tedeschi Trucks Band sounding song.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's another one. Like I mean, I love all these songs obviously, but maybe if I was going to send someone an introduction to I guess, I mean, if I wanted something heavier and more rocking, I would send Signs. But if I wanted like someone's like, a mid-temp, someone, good for like a more of a mid-tempo type thing. But I love Anyhow. I love like the verse riff,
mm-hmm.
the rhythm playing that Derek does on that. It's hypnotic, like
sure.
that riff that he does behind the Susan verses.
And the songwriting is also excellent. Anyhow, really, really strong lyrics from this band. I feel like lyrics are often what really makes me love a band. I can like a band a lot, but if I don't connect with the lyrics, I feel like it's more difficult for the songs to become something that are really personal to me. And Anyhow is a phenomenal song for that. I love the words to that song.
Yeah, the way they write, like in some of that, like Bob Dylan even inspired styles,
Sure,
like
yeah.
they're broad enough to make things universal, but not too broad where things are trite or cliche.
Yep.
And I always talk about how they're a positive band, but they're also a realist band, and they're an upbeat band, but they also can be music that you listen to, of course, obviously, when you go to very, very dark places, even beyond dark and heavier than in All the Love type song. Like there's some, they've expressed a lot of emotion, all the emotions through their music, especially now with their deep catalog. Like they've expressed all the emotions at this point, from sadness to joy and everything in between, and sometimes within the same songs.
So I'll tell you, a song that I was very happy to hear was La Di Da.
Yeah.
As a parent of one child in college and one, who's almost done with high school, the lyrics hit home. It's about watching the kids, growing up, and there's not a thing you can do about it. And, as a parent, you get sentimental, right? And, my kid's not here very much anymore. She's at college. My other one's going through the process right now of getting ready to apply to colleges. And I'm going to have an empty nest in about 18 months. And, the message to that song really resonates. And, that to me is one of the most underrated songs on the whole 4-album I Am the Moon set. It's, the first time I really listened to the lyrics, I was just struck by, I get it. I can relate.
Yeah. No, and that was one of the ones. I mean, Susan has talked about the story behind the song, of course, live, but then that's one of the ones where what it's about is more overt. But really, anyone can relate to these songs, and even La Di Da, just a song about someone leaving you. Like, who can't relate to that? Like, and it's such a fun, it's an Irish drinking kind of vibe, barroom type song, and I enjoy that one. I play that one sometimes and sing it, myself for shits and giggles too. We got some comments here. I live in Indiana and took a vacation to New York City for nights 2 and 3 at the Beacon. My first time at the venue, it was a dream. Red-faced head case says, but yeah, I was there all 3. It was an amazing time for sure. Jeff Fink says happy birthday. They played 44 for you. Whose birthday was it? I don't know, but Jeff's saying he'll be at Miramar, Mar, and David Flam the same. Jay's saying here, La Di Da was so fun. Hippodrome show was an awesome end to the week. Certainly.
Absolutely, Jay.
Yeah. Were you there too? We got to get you on here. I should pull up my Instagram Tedeschi Trucks page in case people are messaging me want to come on. Yeah, just so much fun at all these shows. Just the band just somehow keeps getting better and better. I want to show more of the pictures from the show. These are good ones here. Derek's watching the what did you say? This is the drum duet on Passaquan?
That's probably
Passaquan.
Oh yeah, because the guitar, obviously. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a funny picture. As Derek's just chilling, watching the drum solo.
Yeah, that's cool.
I will say this to the crowd at the Hippodrome. And Dan, I know you were there, although you were a little bit closer to the stage than I was. Mm-hmm. As for the whole sit-stand thing, the entire lower level was standing the entirety of the entirety of the show.
It was very nice, yeah.
The energy in that building was phenomenal. I certainly couldn't see, what was going on in the balcony, but the entire lower area was completely standing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't seem there were any issues. Thought.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is a cool shot of Kevy with these like. I think maybe even these lights are new too. The way they're kind of almost look like sunshine beams coming down on the band.
What was interesting was they came out for the encore. Kebby came out with just Isaac.
Yeah.
And they were playing around for 2.5 minutes or so before everybody else kind of drifted onto the stage and picked up. And then, and then went into the like the slide medley.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly where that was going when I heard. I mean, it's super awesome and love Kebby, but like I was like, what I was guessing what they were gonna go into for the encore. Yep. Yeah, the slide medley always stellar as always.
Yeah, I've heard that one for the first time at Madison Square Garden last year, and that's just a really. I think that might be my favorite encore that they've done. It's just really fun one.
Yes, sir. Anything else we should cover? Because I know Ivan had some more to talk about, related to this whole weekend. But anything else about this show, the evening?
No, I think we covered it. The venue was great. Set list was great.
Certainly, I agree. Well, I'll turn it over to Ivan. You could tell me about the rest of the weekend.
Yeah,
got some pictures from that.
So after the gig, my daughter wanted to go down to the 8x10 in Baltimore, check out the Ron Holloway band, and a few members of the band stopped by, and Mr. Ephraim jumped up on the stage with his trumpet towards the end of the set for Ron Holloway. It was a good time. Nothing, significant, but a unique opportunity was presented to me on yesterday afternoon. A couple weeks ago, I get a call from a buddy, asks me if I know the name Gabe Dixon, and I'm like, yeah, he's at Tedeschi Trucks. He goes, well, yeah, I know, and I know you're a goober. And I said, why do you ask? So it turns out that somebody in the larger area of where I live has these house concerts. And the people who had this concert used to own a small venue in Baltimore. And previously, when they had their venue, Gabe had come in and the family loved him. So when there was an opportunity to bring him in to do their little house concert, they did. So yesterday afternoon, I went over to a house in the greater Baltimore area. And it was not one of these monstrosity mansions because I was expecting that myself. I'm like, who has a house concert? They put about 60 some odd chairs in the basement of their home. And they had a keyboard, and that was all plugged in. And there's a picture of kind of what the setup looked like. And Gabe played about 2 50-minute sets, maybe a little bit longer. His work, his solo stuff is fantastic. Over the last week, I really spent some time listening to his music while I was in the car driving back and forth to the Warner, on Spotify. And I learned a little something. There's a well-known romantic comedy, and that's not my genre of movies, but called The Proposal. Apparently, Gabe wrote the first track on the, that appears in the movie. And he was talking about that yesterday, that one of the songs on the soundtrack was his. And then how he wound up getting the call to have his song included. And that was pretty cool. So, I did record one song of his performance yesterday. I didn't want to be that guy in the basement, so I kind of had my phone down a little lower. Gabe hung out. I mean, obviously, there's only 60 some odd people there. So, certainly everybody kind of had a chance to talk to him. So it was just a really unique opportunity. And I think for music in general, I saw some back and forth on the Facebook group earlier. Really didn't take a whole lot of, fancy stuff to have a small concert in your home. I mean, that's a pretty basic setup, what you're looking at. And what you don't see is the small, speaker, behind them. And that was it. I mean, and then there was a guitar he played for one song. It was, pretty basic, but it was a cool opportunity. And yeah, I mean, it's not something that comes along very often. So it was pretty cool. I was very
awesome.
fortunate. And then when I mentioned to him I went to all 4 shows, he said, "You must be exhausted." And I said, "Yeah." I did
That's
ask
really
him
cool.
about something that we talked about, though, Adam. We were talking about the Thursday night show, which coincided with the State of the Union, and how traffic, was a disaster getting out of DC that night. I specifically asked him, did they ask you guys to play way past 11? Because normally you're off the stage at about 11 o'clock at the Warner. You guys went till about 11:20. Did somebody tell you guys to play longer because of the whole traffic? Because the Warner's 3 blocks from the White House.
Yeah.
So he said, no, they just went long, and it just worked out that way. But
you thought they were waiting for the traffic to die down.
I thought maybe somebody may have told them to play a little bit later just to buy everybody a little bit of time. Because traffic that night in DC was an absolute fiasco. It took me almost 2 hours to get home, where it should only take me about an hour.
That I can relate to in Los Angeles, the traffic. I want to show Jay's comment here. Hilarious. He says, "You must be exhausted," because I did try to respond to that when I had had myself muted. But I was gonna say, like, what about him? Isn't he tired too? He's actually the one performing all the shows and this show too. We're all tired. He's tired too. But that, what that speaks to, because this is what I was going to comment on, because I'm still diving deeper and deeper into his catalog as well. But I listened to a bunch of his a couple of his live shows on the archive, and he comes across, and I've obviously seen his trio as well. Like, he's just open for TTB, but he's just charming, like, just to, like, in the room, the way he engages with the audience, I'm sure on stage, if this is even a stage, and off, I'll put stage in quotes, off stage as well. Like, I mean, can you speak to that? Like, just how, obviously you already have just telling the story about the proposal, but, like, just him as a person and just how he comes across to the audience. Like, I find him charming.
He was real easygoing. He would tell a quick little anecdote about this song or that song. Yeah. So he would begin by saying, so this is a song I wrote about, a certain cafe by Belmont University was the story he was telling. It's about me sitting in a coffee cafe. And then he proceeded to play that song. Then he was talking about, this particular situation or that particular situation. So he's a great storyteller, not just a great musician, but it was the stories that went along with it. And he was basically conveying the message of what the song would be about, or in some cases, like after the fact. So he would say, so anybody think what they know about that song? So it was a real cool opportunity. I strongly recommend everybody maybe take a day or two and put his stuff on in the car or in the background. And his stuff, it's really good. And I was very much impressed by a lot of it. I was like, because I wasn't familiar with it, and I didn't know what I would hear. Right. So
you haven't seen, I was going to ask, you hadn't seen him, like, open for TTB or his trio.
I have. I've seen him open, but to listen to an entirety of, his work, the recorded stuff, I enjoyed what I saw live, but I wasn't intimately familiar with it.
Right.
So I made it a point to, kind of become a little bit more familiar with the music. Certainly recognized more than a few songs from what I had heard in the car. Some of them I didn't know. But he was fantastic. Really was. It was a cool opportunity. And these people are having, like, another concert in their house each in the next 2 months. So, I mean, it's a cool opportunity. I mean, it's nice to support the arts, and, it was nice of him to be able to make the time. I know they had 2 days off between the Hippodrome show and the Richmond show. And I think he mentioned that they're doing a total of 72 dates this year.
Oh,
so
it's enough. Maybe they may add some more for all we know. There's still time.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was just a nice experience. My daughter was with me. She's 19. She's she's a music industry major. So she took the opportunity to talk to Gabe about some stuff that was of interest to her and that he might know some answers to, because she's going down to Nashville in a few weeks herself. And he was more than generous with his time talking to her about different things.
Yeah, he's based out of Nashville, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was very generous of his time to, to talk to my daughter. She's actually going down there in a few weeks, and she's going to be recording something and meeting with some people as well. So,
very cool. That's exciting. How was the rest of the crowd? I'm sure. I mean, it must have had like a family and friends type of vibe. So I'm sure everyone was like.
There was a lot of people from that neighborhood. Give you an idea. I'm almost 50 years old. I was probably among the youngest in the room. I'll be candid. I mean, there was a handful of people in their 40s and 50s, but I would say the majority were in their 60s or later. There were two younger people. My daughter and somebody else brought their teenage daughter as well. And there was one young couple in their 20s, and I think the other, like the rest of them, were what we would all call middle-aged or even older.
Nevertheless, everyone's appreciating and enjoying the music, and I think we were talking about this last podcast, just how people of all ages really do appreciate this band. The key is just to be exposed to them, and or even part of the band being, Gabe.
It was it was a great week last week. I certainly slept like a log yesterday afternoon once I got back, between the time change and all the late hours. The last week is certainly a lot, but no, it was a fun week. I can't wait to see them again at Red Rocks in July.
Oh, that's awesome! You're making the trip.
I'm taking my daughter. She wants to go. I've been there before, but she's
for TTB
on me.
Were you there for TTB before?
No, I was there for Blues Traveler on a July 4th, because they always have Red Rocks on that day of the year. So I will say, being there on July 4th and all the fireworks going off in the distance over the Denver skyline, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty sight.
It's the coolest venue. It's so beautiful. I went out there once for Dead and Company a few years ago, but I would love to make the trip for TTB.
Yeah,
Denver's just fun too. Denver's a fun town too.
Everyone talks so glowingly about Red Rocks and it being the one, if not the one of the best place to watch the show. It's like in my head, because I still haven't been there, I was like, why does the setting of the show matter so much? I'll see Tedeschi Trucks Band anyway. It's a big deal if I'll go to any city to see Tedeschi Trucks Bands. I mean, what's so amazing about Red Rocks? But just so many people describe it with such reverence. Is that the right word?
That is the word, because that's the word I was thinking of.
A concert's an adventure. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the venue definitely is a big factor for me.
Sure.
That it's like, it's a part of the adventure. We go there, like traveling to the show, even just going down to Baltimore for I very last minute, decided to make that trip, and it was pouring rain. It was a little bit like, all right, got to do it. It's fun. It's fun to do it. And Red Rocks for me was just like, I had a friend in Denver. Dead and Company played there when the pandemic was still pretty bad, and the airfare was really cheap, so just kind of last minute we decided to make the trip. But when you're out there in the hills and you can see Denver in the distance and it's just beautiful, and it's I loved it, and I would really love to go back, and there's no band I would like to see there more than Tedeschi Trucks.
Yeah, that's
the other venue I really want to go see is the Gorge.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. The Caverns in Tennessee too. I've heard really good things
I
about.
heard
What's the Gorge?
Awesome. I would love to see the Gorge out in Washington. that's a little harder of a place to get to because it's
Yeah.
not near an airport the way Red Rocks is, less than an hour or so away from DIA.
Yeah, Red Rocks is not remote. It's like you're right outside of Denver. You can just see the city right there. But the gorge, at least from what I've been told about, is a bit of a hike. Like they got a campground that a lot of people stay at.
Gotcha. Jeff Fink's asking if all 72 shows have been announced for.
They've announced a ton of them. I haven't counted, but they've announced a ton of them.
Yeah, count them up. Count them. Randy's saying that seeing a new venue is like seeing a new ballpark. There's no tour. Like, I guess that makes sense. That part of the reason to go to a new venue is just because you haven't been there. Like, that's almost enough reason alone to go see Tedeschi Trucks Band, let alone one that everyone speaks so highly of, like Red Rocks. Jay saying, when I think of Red Rocks, I remember the TTB stream of them playing Dreams with the lightning storm in the background. Yeah, they had to postpone the show, or it was a rain delay or a storm delay. Yeah, no, hopefully they have the live streams on Nugs that again over the course of the summer, late July, whenever these shows are. That is good stuff all around, guys. So much awesome stuff with the Baltimore talk and the private Gabe show. Anything else you guys want to talk about or mention or cover? I'm almost like surprised. We're all getting better at this. We're getting more efficient. Like, sometimes we can go on and on, myself included, forever, like just talking about anything related to this band, because like I just love them so much that I could talk about them all day. So that's why I am where we are.
No, yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, man. Great talk. Ivan, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
When are your next shows again, did you say? You guys?
Miramar Beach for me. My wife and I are going down for the Sun, Sand, and Soul. They're like little music festival thing. He's great. I saw too at the Warner that that Dwayne Betts played with them, and he's going to be there. So,
they did. They did a sick version of Blue Sky and Elizabeth Reed. It was out of this world.
I'm hoping we get something similar.
We had a chance to talk to Dwayne. He is a super duper nice guy. Really nice dude.
Yeah, cool.
So who's going to be at the Miramar Beach? I've looked at it, but I haven't looked.
Two Tedeschi Trucks.
Right,
shows.
May 2nd to 4th. That's after Australia. That's after I see the Leonard Cohen tribute in DC as well. They have that on their website for April.
I really like to see music blind, so I've actually made a point of not like looking up some of the artists that are playing there, because I want to. I want seeing them live to be my first experience with it. But I know that I think it's called Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah, Blackberry.
I've heard of them before. They've
opened for TTB and played with.
Yeah, they're going to be there, and
they're fantastic.
Dwayne Betts. Yeah.
They unfortunately just lost their drummer to cancer about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to it.
So you looked at the acts, but the ones that you're not super familiar with, you haven't like dove into the music.
Yeah, no, like I want to like.
I got you.
I did this for the first time with Billy Strings, and it was a great experience. Where like I'd heard about him, but I hadn't really listened to him. Then he came to Philly, and I just went to the show blind. I didn't know. I knew it was bluegrass. I knew it was jam bandy. And I had a great time seeing him. So I'm trying to do the same thing with a lot of the bands at this thing. I just don't. I kind of feel like it's it's fun to kind of not know exactly what you're gonna get and check it out.
Sun, Sand, and Soul. Yeah, I got it right here. Yeah. A lot of people in the TTB world are hardcore into Blackberry Smoke as well. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy all these acts in this whole weekend. That's super cool. What about you, Ivan? What did you say your next show was again?
Red Rocks. That last little bit of May, I think, may be the move out weekend of my daughter in college. So family comes first.
I got you for sure. It's funny because I'm asking you guys when your shows are, but really what I'm doing is sort of organizing my schedule as well. Like when I see when is the band here, when's the band here, when can I do the recap? Can I recap Portland? Okay, I'll do Portland. Maybe I see.
How about you, man? When's your next show?
Mine is LA.
Cool.
June 7th, and San Diego the 8th. Back to LA the 9th, because I guess the Greek Theater must be booked that Saturday night. But I may have to go to Santa Barbara on that Wednesday the 5th. That's pretty close to me. I think I have to make that happen.
They made you wait long enough for those West Coast dates, right? So gotta strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, and I don't know. We'll see how. I'm thinking about Phoenix. Maybe I'll take off a couple of days and drive out to Phoenix on the 11th. I think that's an evening with that show also, from what I gather. I don't think there's I guess these things could be subject to change. Adam needs 5 out there, 5 shows. That's what that's what he counted. Add Santa Barbara and add Phoenix. It's almost like I didn't want to spend too much money at once, but it's not. It's different if I get Phoenix and Santa Barbara in a separate transaction. It doesn't count as spending as much money at once. You buy 5. Yeah, if I spend money on 5 shows at once, that's absurd. But if I do buy 3 now and then 2, in 3 weeks.
Listen, hopefully we're all getting tax refunds, and we're all going to be getting tax refunds in the next general month or so.
Yeah, so, we used that one already.
We can use that if we haven't already.
Yeah, we'll make it work. And honestly, I don't really care where I sit entirely. I say that now, but no, I've sat everywhere. I've been in the floor, the pit, the orchestra, the loge, upper, the very last row, dancing with weirdos in the Orpheum in LA. So I've sat.
They're not
everywhere.
weirdos.
I was at the top. I was all the way in the back of the Beacon this year, and it was great. Thought the view was great. Yeah.
Remember, they're not weirdos. They're my people.
Yeah, they could be more than one thing. On that note, guys, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Have a good night. Thanks for having me on.
Have a good one.
See you guys.
Talk soon, guys. Peace.
Bye.
So there you go. What was that? Episode 145, recapping TTB in Baltimore with Dan and Ivan. Thank you again to them for taking time out of their day and evenings on East Coast time. Was it 10 o'clock on the East Coast? I think they're both in East Coast time. I'm still trying to, my body's still adjusting. I complain, but like being on the East Coast, traveling for the Beacon shows, and now we had daylight savings like yesterday, whatever. So I'm probably all kinds of confused on the inside, but not when it comes to this band and the music, which has been amazing. Like we talked about, just so much freshness being brought into their sets somehow. Like just again, this 7-show run of 3 Beacon, 3 DC, and the 1 Baltimore show has just yielded so much amazing. Maybe new is not the right word, but fresh. I think fresh is the right word. They just keep things fresh for us, the fans, and I've been lucky. We've been lucky to get a couple of people, out there taping and recording the shows for us, as well as people posting photos and videos and, publicly and in the groups and on their social medias. I appreciate all the content for sure. I'm going to try to keep on pumping out more of it myself. The plan is to recap the Richmond 2 shows in Richmond and the Durham show on Saturday, whatever date was it, the 14th? Is that the 14th, 16th, 18th? I don't know what the hell it is. But this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. But hope everyone's doing okay out there. At Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Please subscribe on YouTube. Like the videos, share the videos, comments. I'll engage. I'll respond to people if they comment on wherever I'm posting the shows and clips and stuff. On the social media, adamchoit.com for all my personal stuff, other stuff, Tedeschi Trucks Podcast for everything related to this show. TedeschiTrucksBand.com. Buy tickets to shows, buy merch, support the band, join the Swamp Family fan club, download the app. I like how when I open the app on my desktop computer, it's like says TTB on they're like on the, anyway, this is not on the menu bar. This is not important, but like I'm just saying, like TTB has infiltrated my computer. No, but it's all good stuff. So yeah, definitely join the Swamp Family. I just renewed my my annual membership as well. But I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. It's dinner time here on the West Coast, maybe bedtime on the East Coast, but we'll definitely talk soon. Looking forward to more music this week and recapping it. Whether I hear it or not, I'll hopefully get the story and the details and and we'll go from there. But let's talk soon. Peace.